Okay, it's 10:13 according to my eyes with glasses on.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, 10:13. And I'm just going to call to order the Public Health and Safety Committee meeting. We just took attendance. In present, we have myself, Cindy Parham, co-chair Bill Pergini, Secretary Laura Carson, members Will Diaz, Amy Ruggiero, and absent, we have Matt Ambrose, Veronica Monahan, and Elizabeth Altobelli. I know Veronica and Elizabeth were on the meeting, so maybe they'll come in a minute. So the first thing that we're going to discuss is the Historic District Committee appointment for the alternate to the Historic District Committee as recommended by the Board of Ed, and that was Alyssa Stack. Does anyone want to make a motion to accept Alyssa Stack? Oh, who's this, Elizabeth? Someone just signed in?
Hi, it's Veronica Monahan. Sorry, my phone was dead. I just charged it.
No problem. You're accounted for, Veronica, and we're just waiting for Elizabeth Altobelli and Matt Ambrose. Okay. So does anyone want to make a motion regarding the Historic District appointment for the alternate?
I'll make a motion. Amy Ruggiero.
Okay.
I'll second.
Amy. Laura, any discussion?
Second. Yes.
Okay, everyone is all in favor of Alyssa Stack? Aye.
Aye.
It sounded like no oppositions, opposed, abstentions. Okay, so that passes unanimously. The second item on the agenda is Carolyn Trabuco's report. I know it was short and succinct because I had a connection problem and I didn't hear any of it, but does anyone have a motion to approve the investment report that Carolyn Trabuco gave?
We need a motion to approve. Laura will approve it. I'll make the motion.
Any second?
I'll second. Will do. Second.
I'll second it.
All right, Will's got that. And then all in favor of the financial report that was given by Carolyn? Aye.
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 Any opposition or abstention? Okay, so that passes. The next third item on the agenda is this CDBG amendment from Mark Barnhart, which is the supplemental appropriation of $297,452 regarding the CARES Act. Does anyone want to make a motion? I'll make a motion to accept. Is there a second?
To accept. Second, Amy Ruggiero.
Amy. Is there any discussion at all regarding this, the amendment?
I was unclear. I was unclear whether or not this was equally communicated to everybody, and if everyone was given enough time to, communicate their need. So, I'm abstaining.
Oh, you mean before it came to us? You mean with just us as a group?
I feel as though, they said the information went out, and I'm not quite sure what everyone, what every organization, if they got it, if they received it, if they denied, if they accepted. That wasn't clear to me. So, I'm not comfortable allocating that amount of money as a result.
Sounded like Joel had the same question during the meeting.
Well, they did say, they asked about the Sullivan housing. They said they were told, but would you send a question to them to get the answer during the week, Veronica?
Sure, because I think it's important. I mean, how do you give out money without knowing that everyone who may need it was actually, responded? And maybe it's in the mail, maybe they didn't, get it in time, they were away, they didn't, the emails were off, so who knows?
Do we know
so you felt like we didn't have a good timeline?
Right. Does anyone know when they were told about this and when it was when they were told who was getting it? Does anyone have any idea?
I don't. I kind of just went along with
surprised I'm surprised every single one of them didn't reply that they needed something. I don't think there's one company, one organization that's not in need of some free money, quote unquote free money, from someone who's willing to help them out.
So Veronica, do you want to make that request to the moderator?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
And then we can get that answer.
I'll do that tonight. Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to hold up anyone from getting any money, but I really feel like it's a considerable amount of money, and I want to make sure it's fair and equitably distributed to everyone who actually may possibly need it.
Right.
Okay. So as a committee, does anyone want to? I mean, we already have a motion on the table, so we could take a vote. So all in favor of the approval of how the supplemental dollars are appropriated, say aye. I'm going to say aye. Anyone else?
I'm gonna wait. Laura's gonna abstain because I'd like to know that they did have a fair chance.
Okay. So anyone against it, or everyone really wants to just abstain?
Yeah.
Maybe we should just. We all abstain.
Yeah.
We just get a.
I think I'm gonna abstain.
Yeah, you know what? I don't have a clear picture either. I just probably put a lot of trust into Mark because usually he doesn't steer us wrong. But it would be nice to know the time frame they were given and if people went in after the deadline and got denied or something. So we'll wait on that. We'll just all abstain.
Yeah, I'll send it to her. I'll send it tonight.
Oh, great. You'll send it over to Karen.
Yeah,
I've never requested any additional information before, so if I screw up.
Yeah. It's a feeling you got, a gut feeling. Definitely. We need to pursue that.
Yeah.
You email her that you just wanted more information from Mark Barnhart, and she sends it through. She's going to say Veronica through me wants to know from Mark Barnhart. She'll word it. But you just want more information.
Okay, great.
About you we're not
great.
Penalized. Or
Okay.
We're not having,
and then the next.
Great.
Sorry. The next two we could take together. It's the number 4, the bonding, testings, and remediation costs that Tom Bremer went over. There was 2 items.
Sick to my stomach.
Oh gosh. So I guess we should take them separately.
This is appalling to me. I don't know if anyone else is feeling that level of anxiety about this one, but I just this does not give me the warm fuzzies.
I guess if I'm allowed to ask a question, being relatively new, but how much choice do we really have? We need to do the remediation, and how much choice do we have?
Yeah,
we don't really have a choice.
Yeah, and I hope I wasn't out of line asking the question about the legal expenses because I did want to actually make sure that money was being spent on physical labor versus just.
And what did he say? He said $300,000 so far.
Yeah.
And he said most of it's been done already, that you won't have much more legal expense or something.
Yeah, but
can't really promise that.
About meetings and meetings and meetings and more meetings and discussion and talk. That's when my head spins and goes, "Who's paying for this? Is this all a legal circle jerk?"
Yeah, I mean,
it got a little vague as to.
Yeah.
So it is vague. We don't know. We don't know how bad it's going to be when they remediate
and then the fact
water.
That we might have to pay for the Nike site. I mean, I don't know if anyone's seen the pictures of how big the Nike site was, but
it's huge.
Wow.
Yeah,
how could that be potentially on us, and with no recourse? I'm blown away by that.
It's horrible.
So we'll take the first one by itself to get Section 8, Laura. So the resolution appropriating $1,480,000. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Sorry. What number is it on the agenda?
Oh, it's number 8, but it's like the 4th item on our list, which is the bonding, testing, remediation costs.
Right.
So it's number 8 is the item.
Okay.
A resolution appropriating $1,484,000 for environmental testing and remediation costs at various locations in Fairfield, Connecticut, related to contamination at the town's reclamation yard, authorizing the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation. So do I have a motion so we can discuss it quickly to approve?
I'll motion. I'll second it.
Did you get that, Laura?
Wait, so I'm making the motion and Veronica's seconding it? Okay, seconding it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we could discuss. Anyone want to make any kind of discussion? I know they spoke about 50 places they were testing. They're down to 7 plus some of the smaller ones, smaller
so potentially a super site. How does anyone else get concerned when we constantly talk about bonding for this and bonding for that, and bonding for this and bonding for that?
No, actually, that's how we spend most of our time. It seems like every single month there's a bond.
So
I know
we never get over bonded.
To me, it's kind of kicking the can.
Oh, the kicking the can.
Yeah.
Like kicking the can down the road, you think?
Well, no, I just feel like it has to happen, right? I mean, we don't have the money to pay for it, but, just part of me gives me a little anxiety.
Right. Like, how do you keep, have you know when we over bonded?
It's kind of good because then you care, I mean, if you don't have this anxiety about it, you kind of treat it like if it's your own family budget. And it's like, this is kind of something like I don't think our town has ever experienced with all these zeros.
But then when we're talking about $2 million for bathrooms and we're talking about X amount for HVAC and X amount for renovating and buying buildings and whatever, and we're in the middle of a pandemic and our stores are closing, like, there's just an element of that, just get a little anxious thing. It's really,
you're right.
What we're supposed to be doing from
it's like
a
fiddling while
town perspective.
the Titanic goes down.
Yeah, are we doing what we're supposed to be doing in that, just saying, oh, yeah, bond it, pay for it to get this done, or do we tighten our, I don't know, belts a little bit?
And it was a little nerve-wracking when Tom Bremer mentioned that he might not know the figures until the summer. I mean, we vote on the budget before the summer.
Right,
and I have to tell you, to the waterfall. I went to 30 realtors to ask how many people were talked to about, I don't know if anyone listened to the 4 o'clock call, but how many realtors were consulted in terms of the reval numbers. And of the top 25 performers in town, not one person was asked about anything related to the reval and pricing. So I'm not quite sure who they counseled. And I got off the phone and I spent an hour looking up random addresses of houses that I know just in different market areas. And every single one of them, the valuation was either not listed yet, so the numbers are not up in terms of the current appraised values, or they were off substantially. So when I talk to several $100,000 each, and it's not, I mean, that's not acceptable. So I'm going to keep my mouth closed on that but I don't know what to do with it because, we potentially are going to be hit with, tax increases next year, and this reval, it all just, a lot of things concerning me today.
Where are the numbers missing?
Time on all of this.
Where are the numbers missing on our on the vision appraisal, the vision
on vision
assessment
appraisal?
online?
So if you type in some houses, like their values are not up.
Really?
Yet. And so
because I'm in the mortgage business, so I'm always looking at that, and I haven't looked at it in like 2 weeks.
He put them up today. So he said the new values went up today. So I went on and started typing in random addresses of different houses and things that are on the market that are just trading in multiple bid situations. And, they're valued at 8 and they're selling for 1.2. They're valued at 6 and they're selling for 9. That's just off dramatically. And I thought some of his assumptions were off. But, I'm not, again,
wait a minute.
I spent too much time on this stuff today and I should probably relax.
Now, who did you say uploaded it? Was it Ross Murray, our assessor? He put it.
No, it was what's his name? Mike said they were uploaded today on the Mike Fazio who did the reval.
Oh, yeah.
So Veronica, are you suggesting are you suggesting that many are undervalued?
And I'm suggesting that most are undervalued from what I saw today. And I think that, I mean, I don't know what but again, they're selling a lot.
Isn't there like a housing boom here because of COVID?
Yeah, and we're number 12 in the nation. Realtor.com came out today and said we're 12th in the country in terms of price appreciation and growth over the next year. And we're already up 10 to 15, and we're already up 10 to 15% in terms of value year over last year. That's not to say every house is up 10 or 15%. That's just to say prices are up.
Veronica, I'm a little confused. Isn't that because your house could be valued at something, and if there's a bidding war and it gets out of whack, isn't that just based on supply and demand, not your value? Isn't that a good thing in a way? If it's
your house is worth what someone's willing to pay for it the day it's offered for sale. But when you look at the trends and you look at the value of the assets, and then they're going to be 70% of that value multiplied by the mill rate is the tax amount, right? So houses could be valued higher. Is my point.
Yes.
Which means then if the mill rate, multiply it out we could be actually making a little more money tax-wise if people were if their houses were valued appropriately, is my point.
Okay.
All right, so let's go back to Section 8, which was we have Veronica and Laura have made a motion for the $1.484 million, and so anyone? Okay, all those in favor of the money to be aye. Anyone opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, so unanimous. The second one that Tom Bremer brought up was item number 9, Laura, and that would be the bond resolution for the $202,000 for environmental testing to the regarding the contamination at the town's water pollution control facility and authorizing issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation. So, is there a motion?
And how much was that?
I'll make $202,000. So, is that Elizabeth? Is she on the call?
It was Amy Ruggiero.
Oh, Amy. Oh, hi. Okay, Amy's going to make a motion. I'll make a second.
That wasn't me.
Oh, Elizabeth is on the call. Oh, good. Thank you. Just Laura, if you can make a note, Elizabeth's on the call.
Elizabeth's on the call.
Okay. We're only missing Matt. Okay. So we have Amy and myself making the motion and the second. Any discussion regarding the $202,000 for the water pollution control contamination?
So that's just for the contamination testing, correct? That has nothing to do with actually doing anything with the water treatment plant. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, they call it testing and remediation. So I guess not knowing after the test how much they need, they think they need 202.
$202,000 to test seems like a lot of money to test, but what do I know?
But they also said testing and remediation. So, but they don't. They have to test first, right? And so how did they come up with that number?
Yeah. You have to approve it.
Do we want to ask any other questions about that to the moderator, or we feel like that's clear enough?
We're going to have to approve it.
Yeah, I agree.
We're going to have to. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed?
Can I?
Oh, we have a
Can I ask
question?
a question on this to you guys? Yeah, I don't know that much about the water treatment facility, but that's water that doesn't come back into our water supply, right?
Why you don't think it does? I'm not sure. I think it does.
Yeah. No, it's processed, and then they tell me it's drinkable when it goes out to Long Island Sound. I wouldn't drink it, but in actuality, the sound.
But it doesn't go back
dirty.
into Aquarian, right?
No. It's processed from our sewage, decontaminated, purified,
sewage.
I guess, and sent out to town. So they built a berm around that to protect it from the flood. But apparently that berm has been contaminated by the soil that was deposited in or around the fill pile. So I think that's. I thought it was
unrelated to the fill pile. He said this was not related to the fill pile.
This was the historical stuff.
If you were to ask Brian Carey, so Brian professed all along that it's been long contaminated because of a variety of industrial needs. Obviously it's still under investigation, but I believe, as is the case with the Penfield Pavilion, that some of that contaminated material was not only used at the Penfield Pavilion, but around the berm as well.
But he said tonight specifically that this water was nothing. He said it has nothing to do with the fill pile.
It's a different location.
Right. It has nothing. It's just based on being an old. Whatever that was.
I believe when it comes to all this anymore, I believe none of what I hear and half of what I see. I mean, half these people are either in jail or, no longer working with us or fired.
Well, in my opinion, no one's going to do jail time, but that's just my opinion. I really don't know.
That would be
Who knows?
Yeah, I think, Laura, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, depending on who you believe, and I agree with Amy. But I think they identified early on it's a separate location from the fill pile, but some of that contaminated waste was deposited into the berm, either to bury it, pun intended, or for whatever reason to utilize it as part of the material to harden that area.
Mm-hmm. So there could be some overlap. Okay, so we have to come to a vote on this, and all in favor, aye.
Aye.
I think we already went through this. We just didn't get to
Yeah.
the nays. Anyone not voting?
Yeah, we did it.
And then no abstentions. So it was unanimous. Okay, then we have two more items, and the first one is the Fairfield Education Association, Attorney Cedar, and the resolution is, be it resolved that in accordance with Connecticut General Statute 10-153DB, the collective bargaining agreement between the Board of Ed and Fairfield Education Association, known as the FEA, for the period of July 1st of next year through June 30th of 2024 is rejected. So this is the one that we have to vote. This is item
to vote no, meaning
yes,
right?
So this is the one we vote no.
Mm-hmm.
Item number 10.
And this
is the teachers.
Yep.
Yeah, the teachers' contract.
The contract.
So we vote no, which essentially means we're for it, right?
Yes.
Right. So
Yep.
I don't really understand.
Does anyone want to make a motion to vote no to this?
So you
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
to
Will
reject
make
the
a
proposal?
motion. I'm
Is
sorry.
that how
Say
you
something.
word
Did
it,
you say-
Cindy? I'm sorry, Cindy. Isn't taking the minutes. Is it the motion to reject the?
Yeah, the motion to reject item 10, the collective bargaining agreement between the Board of Ed and FEA. Okay, I'll make a second to that motion of Will's. Any discussion regarding this? He mentioned it was.
No, wait. So are we voting nay or are we voting aye if we're with you guys?
You vote.
No.
Vote no.
We're voting no
We're all,
to
we're
reject
all
it.
voting no. And then when you ask us to, are we saying nay or are we saying aye in support of you?
Oh,
You
you're saying
vote no.
you vote.
Right?
You say no.
We're saying no.
Or
If
I
we
think
want to
perhaps you
vote
could
for
phrase
the
it
contract.
that all who vote no say aye.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Aye.
Any
There
discussion?
we
Okay.
Yeah. Just
And
write it
okay,
down.
all who vote no say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone voting yes, which is no, and no abstentions. Okay, that passed unanimously. And finally, the last item is the VERP, VERIP, Jim Hasselkamp. Be it resolved to fund and approve the attached agreements that we received between the Town of Fairfield and United Public Service Employees Union 454, the professional and technical employees of Union 222, including non-union eligible employees, for voluntary early retirement incentive plan for these eligible members. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion.
I don't really want to make it.
I'll second it.
So
who is that, Laura
Yeah.
Veronica will
Amy.
second it.
and Veronica?
Okay. Amy,
Is there any
you wanna make the
discussion?
motion? Amy got the motion. I'm still a little confused. I'm just going to abstain tonight just to get more information.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to abstain as well. So do we have anyone voting yes?
I'm voting yes.
They're going to ask us about this right
yes.
away. So
Okay, all in
is
favor?
anyone voting yes?
Amy Ruggiero.
I'm
Who's
voting
that?
yes.
Is that Elizabeth?
Veronica.
Oh, Amy.
Okay,
Veronica.
Amy? Veronica, okay. Anyone else?
Amy and Veronica.
Where's Elizabeth?
What are we talking about? Sorry.
Are we approving the voluntary separation program?
The Vera. Elizabeth, you're in favor.
Yeah, I'm in favor.
So Elizabeth, Amy, Veronica,
And I'm in
Okay,
favor as well, Cindy.
and Bill.
Bill, okay.
Okay. Are there any anyone that wants to say nay?
Oh, no.
I'm gonna abstain. Does that mean Will and Laura are gonna
I'm
abstain?
abstaining as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Laura, you didn't
Yes.
say nay,
Yes.
Laura, so I assume you're
I
abstaining.
can abstain. Oh, I'm not. Laura's abstaining. I need some more information. Because I just, like you said, I'm anxious, and we have so many things upon us, so many unknowns, between the pandemic, between cliffs that were left over from last year that we have to make up for this year, plus the remediation that we may have to come up with. So I'm just like worried about how the amount of money. So I just need to get a little bit more clarity.
Yeah, I was just a little confused on how there's only going to be 3 people that are actually going to be not being the positions being eliminated.
Hmm.
So the other 20, like, we'll either do without new job descriptions, new people at a lower level, and or not, bringing them back.
I just feel like the town is, we've seen such corruption, such people don't trust people, and I just think we could use some new blood and some, some not, and this total bipartisan. I don't care who they hire for what position, as long as the best qualified person who actually wants to go to work every day and wants to work 8, 9, 10 hours a day for the good of the town.
I just don't think we have the clarity on who's going to actually take it, and if the corrupt people are going to leave or they're going to stay. So I don't think we have enough information.
I just don't think you're going to know exactly.
But you're never going to know.
Really. You're never going to know. Right.
With all those questions that everyone asks, I mean,
you don't get
they're all assumptions. So it's
I think the people who don't want to be there want clarity. Yeah. The people who don't want to be there
questions that were asked were very fair questions. So I mean, I think I certainly understand their questions. I mean, it's a big amount,
huge amount,
and
right?
I mean, I'm for it. I went through this, as I said last time, with the GE pension plan, and it was brutal. So I think it's a lot more considerate, and I think that we're kind of, again, in a position where if we want change, we kind of, I'm voting in favor. But I think the questions are fair, and I think that there was, some things with the, savings and, some fair questions.
I'm glad she went back to the drawing board, and was pushed on that. I think that was important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely glad. I was very happy to see the number come down, for sure.
But I mean, there's always going to be someone who's 81 years old. Which I have heard a rumor that someone in finance or some other department, like a clerical person, she's 81. I mean, we're not going to be paying her insurance for 20 years, We're not. But then there's going to be people that are just at the age where they're going to take it, and they're at the lower age. So it's going to be a bell curve of some people that we're going to pay a lot of it, 20 years worth, and some we're going to pay 2. It's not really in our hands. Like you said, it's the unknown.
Right.
It's the unknown.
Okay.
Right. So why don't we make a motion?
All right, motion to adjourn.
Wait, I have a quick question. So we're health and safety, this commission, right?
Public health, public safety. That includes fire, police, and the senior center.
So, the woman who was hit down on the post road and traffic in town and all of that, do we get involved and kind of collectively introduce issues that we really believe need to be addressed? Because, I think we should talk about that. I know we're in a pandemic, it's hard to communicate and whatnot, but I think there's a lot of people concerned about the beach road development and traffic and people crossing the roads that don't feel safe, and the amount of traffic, at where the new theater is going to be, and so on and so forth. And, I think with all these high-rise buildings going up in town, we need to talk about at some point that and how we kind of get involved, because I think people are calling for it. If you read some of these online forums, people are saying, we need, to be a little bit more aware of this. What is the town doing? And I think we should potentially get involved in that.
Right.
I just don't know how to go about it, because I'm fairly new to this.
Okay.
Yeah, I would suggest that we organize a separate meeting amongst us committee members and identify the leading concerns, and then put a plan together to discuss it with the leadership of our town, and where it's appropriate, the leadership of our police department.
Yeah. Aren't they doing an investigation of that accident? I got a notice that they closed down the street to act for a few hours to go over and see about investigating about the accident, see what they can do. Does anyone know what I'm talking about?
Who was the woman that was
I think
hit?
the woman she was the woman who works at Operation Hope.
I think they closed down the street.
And I think she's in, and she may pass away if she hasn't already done so.
Oh, I did.
Very, very horrible.
How would that be our second fatal our second fatal in a very short period of time?
Well, look at the one. Look at the one crossing by the Carrollton. I witnessed that. I literally drove past as it happened.
Oh God.
and we missed that one. I mean, it was an elderly person, 2 elderly people walking across. But I mean, I really do feel like something needs to be done, and the town is only becoming more overpopulated.
Yeah, Veronica, we've
the town
addressed some
did do a
concerns
study that day. They were looking into the cause and what could be done. So they closed the street down for like 3 hours.
Rage. Everyone's like angry and pissed off and depressed because of what we're dealing with. Everyone's like a
yeah, but we also have college. We also have college students who are home, and we have, more people living here full time during the day than not.
Will is like one of them is my daughter.
Listen, so my daughter actually was, when she got her driver's license, she's now 21, she was coming down, crossing in front of the community theater, and hit a child on their bike. And there were 2 bikes crossing, one crossing and the next crossing. The kid was on his cell phone drinking a Coke with 2 hands on the bike. So she went through the intersection, and she called me and said, "Hey, Mom, I hit someone." And I said, "Oh, my God, what happened? What happened?" And I get there, and the 2 bikes are off to the side of the road, and I was told that the town changed the rules and that all of a sudden people who ride their bikes on the sidewalk are allowed. And then as a result, they're given all the rights of a pedestrian. So even though someone was on their cell phone, on the bike, not obeying the laws, thankfully the kid was okay, and the woman I hit said, I hit the blind guy. She hit the blind guy a couple of days before with her car that was super quiet. So she's like, I'm totally fine. I paid for a bike, and thankfully all was well. But something inside of me said, I got lucky, and someone sent me a message about this. So I think we just need to get more involved in that, because that is, part of the committee that we're on.
Very good suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, there's like a head of traffic at the police department. So, Bill, you're familiar. You do a lot with the police department. So, isn't there like the traffic division? There's a lieutenant in charge of that. So that's who we should probably have.
I spoke to. There was an issue that one of my constituents brought to my attention today. It's very similar to this point. So I spoke to Lieutenant Granata, and so this gentleman wanted us to put up signage, and I think, there's a process for doing that. But long story short, I think we should convene again if we have time before the holidays or maybe shortly thereafter, and then just figure out what issues we want to prioritize, and then bring them to the attention of the leadership of the police department and of our town, and then figure out what strategies we could employ to address some of them. I think throughout the town,
especially with the theater opening. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people are just so frustrated with the flagrant speeding and just blowing through stop signs. I mean, I see it almost every day. Every day. And for a variety of reasons, people are just at their tipping point. But nonetheless, I agree with all of the issues brought up. And so, again, that's part of our charge. So we could tackle that. And
and I think if we can do anything effective, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah. And remember that there's a lot of people now. I mean, it's pretty obvious the police are not stopping people as much nationwide.
No, they're
right
not.
Now.
They're not. You're exactly right.
And
a little upsetting.
Because some people are concerned about the racial profiling.
Right. But nonetheless, this came up over the summer. If you recall, I brought up the point how these traffic stops actually lead to, arrest for more serious crimes. And there were a couple of issues recently where a guy was carrying a machete and, operating a drug factory.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
I spoke to, Captain Calamaris and Lieutenant Granata about it. Time and again. So, it's irregardless of your orientation, the color of your skin, your religious beliefs. If you're blown through a stop sign or speeding or running people over, you should be,
that's
you should be arrested. It should be cited.
But there should also be deterrence. Whether it's a fine, whether it's, you lose some sort of privilege, like it just should be end up in the patch.
Now, okay, if it is like the holidays are coming, if we could do a Zoom meeting with one of the police officers that's head of the traffic division, does anyone have a day next week that could really work for them, like dinner time on Thursday? I don't know.
That's my birthday.
That works.
My 50th birthday.
Okay. We don't want to do that.
How about Wednesday?
We have the special
Wednesday
on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
We already
How about
have
like Wednesday, like 6 p.m. something?
Or do we ask Brenda first if like what she's doing? If there's any
Monday, and then we have the special the 23rd.
No, we can go.
You want to wait
like
till
Bill
after
said,
the
just go
holidays
right to the
to
traffic
shut down?
division.
Why don't we do
Yeah,
that?
I'm sure Chief Liddy would be happy to organize, or Captain Calamaris, or Lieutenant Granadas in the Office of Public Affairs. I'm sure they'd be very, very happy to help us.
They would.
Get our thoughts
we don't want to really meet in person at this point, do we?
No,
it's just like over the computer. Zoom.
So, Zoom. Do you want to?
All right,
and what are their priorities?
We'll throw out a couple dates to the traffic division, and I'll email all of our committee to see what could work. But we'll shoot for maybe next Wednesday at 6 for even like a 45-minute talk.
Sure.
That's great.
Sounds good.
All right,
great.
I'll be in touch with that.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you so much, everyone.
So the meeting is over at 10:49. Will said a motion to adjourn, and Laura seconded it. All in favor?
Sorry, I dragged it out.
Aye.
Oh, Will and Laura.
Okay, and
Will
it's adjourned
and Laura.
at 10:49.
10:49. And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All
Thank you.
Figured it was across the board.
Have a good
All
night.
right, good night.
All right, bye-bye.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, Cindy.
Take care. Bye, Laura.
Bye.